What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man, from E-Man's Movie Reviews. Today, we are going to break down and talk about Season 2, Episode 4 of From. There is some stuff that we have to go over. Last time, we just got done having a huge headache with Kelly, and we finally found out where Sara has been all this time. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. We start off with a flashback when Kenny and his mom drop off his dad at the clinic. He doesn't want to stay, but Mrs. Liu convinces him to stay anyway. Boyd comes in to check in on him. Apparently, there was an incident where the monsters made Kenny's dad believe that they were his brothers. Boyd tells Kenny that he could use his help as a deputy. So it looks like we have a pretty interesting setup going on here. I mean, at this point, we knew that obviously Kenny was kind of struggling dealing with his dad and his dementia. But it looks like here, by having him stay in the clinic, Kenny is kind of losing a father, figuratively speaking. But with Boyd coming into the picture and making him a deputy, he's also gaining a father at the same time. Now, all it is said, this is kind of sort of making me feel for Kenny because he about to go through it. Tabitha is staring off into the distance. She says that she needs to talk to Jim. Jade comes in startled to find out that he's got some new roommates. Kenny brings Boyd down to the church and reveals that Sarah's been hiding in the basement. He uncuffs her and asks her what happened. She said after they went through the faraway tree, she ended up in the church. She also said that the boy in white helped her out. She knows there's no way she can live in the town ever again. She then finds out that Boyd hasn't told Kenny the truth about what really happened in the clinic. Finally, we have our answer. We know where Sarah's been. She's been in the church basement this whole time. And honestly, where else was she really going to go anyway, right? So now what's interesting about this is she ended up here under the direction of the boy in white. Now, it kind of makes me wonder, is it possible that these trees, these faraway trees, are they not as random as we think they are? Did the boy in white know exactly where Sara and Boyd was going to end up? Because, that's cool that Sara was over there in the basement, but that didn't turn out very well for Boyd. Or did it? Now, I think something very interesting we have to remember from the season finale of season 1, Sara is now able to actually see the boy in white. This isn't something very common. Back in episode 4 of season 1, Victor needed to confirm with Ethan that he saw the same boy in white. Victor thought the boy in white was actually a figment of his imagination or something, but now Ethan, Victor, and Sara can see the boy in white, and that to me tells me that Sara is definitely part of a new special class of people in this town. She's obviously connected to this place in some, special way, but this also means that she could play a very vital role somewhere in the future. Now, something else that Sara mentioned was that the boy in white seemed to be trapped just like they were in this whole little world, but he doesn't know exactly how to escape, and that kind of makes me wonder, what exactly or how exactly did he end up here? And again, I think that this is one of the main reasons why Sara is actually way more important than we think. And what I really need from Sara, since now she could see the boy in white, and since she can actually talk to him, I'm going to need her to have a whole conversation with him. Like, I need some real questions, and I need some real answers, because right now, if the boy in white is sitting here talking to Ethan and Victor, they not finna have no real conversation. They gonna talk about like, oh, what kind of game you want to play today? You want to play hide and go seek? No, I don't want to play that game. How you get here? Who are you? What are you? Where you come from? What is the deal? That's the kind of questions I'm going to need Sara to ask the boy in white, so that way she can prove her real value here and, make sure that the town doesn't come looking for her head. Boyd tells Kenny that Sara is connected to this place. He told him that Father Khatri was working with her and that he took her into the forest with him. Kenny is pissed. He don't want to hear none of that. Boyd slips up and says that Sara killed people. Kenny thought that it was only her brother Nathan. Kenny says that she belongs in the box. Boyd says no one needs to go into the box. His hands tremble and the COVID worms start to crawl. Now, if you recall back to season 1, this is exactly what Father Khatri was warning Boyd about in terms of the rules when it came to the box. when Boyd was over here trying to give Frank a pass and kind of let Frank get off, Father Kotri was like, okay, if you do that, what do you think is going to happen if and when something else goes down and somebody deserves to go in the box and you don't follow through with your rules? Well, right now we're starting to see that Kenny is kind of like the first domino effect in this potential consequence if you don't stick to the rules that Boyd, in this case, came up with. So I can understand Kenny being really upset and basically wanting justice for his dad. On the flip side, this place is weird. Okay, you got monsters and ghost kids running around. Like, it's weird. So, maybe some exceptions need to be made. And, again, you got Sara talking to little boys in white and jumping through teleportation trees. And, it's a lot going on. So you tell me what you think. Do you kind of lean a little bit more in understanding Kenny's perspective of things? Or do you think that maybe y'all just need to deal with this because, there's some crazy stuff going on in this place? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Julie goes back to the colony house with Ethan. Fatima says that Elgin was having a rough time adjusting, so Julie tells him that she's available to talk whenever he wants. Victor is in his room drawing until Ethan comes in. He tells Ethan that he is mad at him for going through his things. Well, luckily for him, Ethan brought him some markers as a peace offering. Christy looks over Boyd's injuries. He shows her his spider bites, but she's more concerned about the wound on his arm. He lies and tells her that it was just a tree branch. She asks him about his tremors and other symptoms. When he mentions his dad having mental issues, she says that the cognitive issues don't really show up until much later down the line with Parkinson's. She tells him to avoid adding any extra stress, and he found that laughable. Look, I'm real happy and all for Victor and Ethan making up and, drawing with markers, whatever. Real quick, I need to talk to Boyd. Boyd, I'm real sick and tired of you lying all the time. Why you always lying? Okay, you just got done telling Kenny how weird this place is and how all this stuff with Sara just don't make any sense. But you mean to tell me you can't even sit here and tell Christy how some weird old guy threw you a magical rope and then put some COVID worms in your arms? You can't tell her that? Jade goes back to the bar and runs into the bus driver. She mentioned how Elgin begged her to turn the bus around, but Jade confirmed that this all occurred after they saw the fallen tree. He also tells her not to feel bad about the others. She recounted how she took this job to pay for her degree. After paying it off, she decided to stay with the bus company a little bit longer just to kind of treat herself. Jade told her that he sold his software company right before he got there. Now, I will admit that the bus driver was getting on my nerves. Like, in the beginning, I was kind of like, yo, ma'am, you tripping. Like, please just get in the diner. I'm going to need you to cooperate, so people just don't die on your watch. But she, again, I get it. She didn't know better, but I'm just saying, because we knew what was going on. She was getting on my nerves. But her story was kind of interesting because there have been a lot of other people that have made it into the town, and a lot of their stories came with some level of trauma. And I was kind of sitting here thinking to myself, like, well, if they have this trauma, does that mean that, maybe they were, I don't know, on the road to purgatory of some sort? There is that purgatory theory that's been floating around. I mean, the Matthews, they lost their kid and they were on the verge of divorce. Who knows what could have happened? Father Kotri was suicidal before he turned and ended up in the town. Now, again, everybody hasn't had like a traumatic story. I think Donna, they just wanted to go hunting, her and her sister. But it was kind of interesting with the bus driver story because, she was like, yo, like I was just working. So now I'm guessing that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in the story, maybe. I don't know. But if you were holding on to the purgatory theory, does this help? Does it hurt? Let me know what you think. Anyway, regardless of whether that theory is true or not, one thing that we do know that is confirmed is that the bus people, they did actually see the fallen tree. We didn't see them see it, but this is now confirmed. And the only other thing that they didn't do, like everyone else, was go round and round in a loop. But at this point, it doesn't matter. Y'all stuck here now. Tabitha looks for Jim and finds Marielle in the medicine cabinet. She does end up finding Jim near the bus. He wonders if everything here was designed just to see how they would react, just like some sort of screwed up experiment. He pointed out how the voice on the radio did mention Tabitha's digging, and then all of a sudden the house collapsed. So, like, this is the point in the show where, like, once again, I feel like, and this is brilliant, I think, on the writer's part, they are just throwing out random theories that I think us, the audience, would think about too, right? And I know I had a theory, or at least I agreed with the theory, the quota theory, right? Which was basically the number of people in town have to be a certain amount, because right before the bus people came, I want to say, and I'll go back and double check it, but I want to say the amount of people that came on the bus was very similar to the amount of people lost right before that. So the town kind of had to fill back up, right? So there is that. And I mean, there is the possibility that, if this place is really alive, if this place can get angry the way the boy in white said, then maybe there are certain things that are going on. Maybe there are powers that be that are controlling it. You do have these animals that come out of nowhere. And what's the purpose of the animals? It's to feed the people. Well, then when the people try to escape and the place gets angry, all of a sudden this storm comes, and it doesn't just knock the house down. It also wipes away half of their crops and food. So now the question is, well, how are they going to react? How are they going to, is this one of those things of like an act right type of situation? Who knows? But that is something that does kind of add into Jim's theory that maybe this is an experiment and there are certain controls that are happening here. What do you think? Also, I'm really not too sure if the voice on the radio was actually good or bad. I mean, Jim said that it was either a warning or maybe it was a threat. And judging by the tone of the voice, it was kind of hard to tell. My gut kind of told me that it might have been more of a threat because of how cool and calm it sounded. But at the same time, the voice was not wrong. The voice did actually say, like, your wife should not be digging there. And I mean, she shouldn't have. I mean, it was only like where the monster sleeps. So like, they were not wrong.
Who is this?
Your wife should be digging that hole.
So I am curious, what do you think about the voice? Do you think the voice are actually part of the monsters, or could it be something entirely different? Let me know what you think. Father Khatri appears to Boyd, and he asks him how he's going to tell Kenny about Sara. Khatri also tells Boyd that he's the father Kenny doesn't have. Jim confronts Donna and says that she heard the voice on the radio. She admits to hearing the voice, but also acknowledges that if there are people watching them, they aren't helping them. She goes on further by asking Jim, how does he know that they weren't monsters? She tells him to be quiet until they know more. So now apparently Boyd is seeing visions of Father Khatri. Now, I don't think that this is the same thing as the way Ethan and Victor are able to see the boy in white, because they actually get to interact with him. And I guess, he's more real than anything. In my opinion, I think that this vision of Father Khatri is really just kind of sort of echoing a lot of Boyd's own thoughts right back to him. So in other words, this is Boyd's consciousness. It just looks like Father Khatri. Now, as for Donna, I totally feel her. Like, we really can't tell, like I mentioned before, whether these voices are good or bad. From her experience, it doesn't look like they're helping, except for the boy in white. We do have the boy in white actually being somewhat helpful, so that kind of counters that. But the main thing going on with Donna right now is she doesn't want to get her hopes up, and I totally understand that, right? I mean, you're already in a place that's pretty depressing, and, for her, she's already learning how to just make do with what they have. And keep in mind, in the last season, she was kind of reluctant in even doing the radio signal thing, because she was like, look, if that thing doesn't work, it's going to make a lot of people feel bad, and it's going to bring morale down, because a lot of people were thinking, oh, this is going to be a way for us to get home. So right now she's like, look, I don't even want to talk about the voice. I don't want to talk about none of that stuff, because the more we kind of rock this, we rock this boat, Clearly there are bad consequences, and again, she doesn't want to get her hopes up. So I can actually understand where she's coming from with this. I mean, when you really think about it, when you get new hope in a place that's already hopeless, that fall can be even worse than anything else. Bizarro Chris Evans assaulted one of the people in the colony house who was going through his things. Donna ain't with it and grabs an axe. She tells him to get up and get his things. She sets him up in the bus with a talisman. She wants him to see what happens every night and wishes him the best of luck. Have I told y'all that Donna is like one of my favorite characters? Because this right here is exactly why I absolutely love her character. Boy, she don't play. I was here for all of this. Now, just in case if you forgot, the colony house, they do kind of have communal house rules, which basically means that everybody shares everything. But, you know, Chris, not Evans, is clearly not with that. So Donna was like, all right, cool. Like, if you don't like these rules, you can bounce. You know what I'm saying? You can go live up in the bus. And this is where I think we get one of the most important clues and rules when it comes to the talisman. And that is the talisman have to be hung up. It's not enough for you just to have the talisman to be protected. No, it has to hang up, because if it falls at any point in time, that's going to be a problem. So it is something that I think we will have to kind of remember, that keep that talisman nicely hung up or else. Kenny confronts Sara and asks about the voices that she's been hearing in her head. She acknowledges that Boyd gave her a chance that she doesn't really deserve. He begs her to help him understand what's going on. Tilly comes to talk to Boyd, and she points him over to the clinic to find Kenny. Turns out Sara told Kenny the truth about his dad, and Boyd admitted that he knew about this, which made Kenny livid. He throws down his badge and quits as his deputy. Dang it, Sara, come on now. All you have to do is be quiet. You ain't have to say nothing to Kenny. Like, for what? Ugh. But I guess she just had too much guilt. You know, she was wearing too much guilt on her, and she just had to confess and self-snitch on herself. Like, I guess, you know. Now, Kenny, on the other hand, listen, my man is mad. He is so mad, and I get it. I mean, literally, Sara, like, killed Joe, dad, and, you know, like, killed her own brother. Like, she deserves the box. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not entirely wrong with all this. And then to add on to that Boyd lied to him. Now, don't get me wrong. When you look at Kenny's reaction, this is why Boyd hesitated in telling him as well. Because Kenny's going to be, Kenny is still young. He's still very emotional, you know. And again, this place will drive you crazy. So, you know, I can understand all these different perspectives. Now, one thing I don't understand is, Boyd, if Kenny is no longer your deputy, I'm going to need him to come up off of that gun. Because you know the rules. Residents are not allowed to carry guns. So, yeah, that's cool. You don't be deputy no more. But come on, run that gun right back. Run me that piece right back. Well, that's it for episode 4. This is the point where I'm going to give you my rating for the episode. I think, this wasn't the strongest episode. A lot of questions didn't really get answered. Yeah, we found out where Sara was, but like nothing really major to push the story forward. Obviously, you know, the town is going to find out, you know, that Sarah's here, I'm assuming, with Kenny and all that. But, right now, this does not feel like it's going to be, the most jaw-dropping, turn of events. So I'm going to probably give this episode a 6 out of 10. Again, this felt like more service for the characters, which is not a bad thing, but it's not like overly exciting, or at least it just didn't wow me. Now, let me just say this though. I understand that some people are getting impatient by not getting certain answers. I totally hear you. Like I said, this episode was not the strongest one. This is also very similar to what happened in season 1. Let me just remind y'all, season 1 started off really strong with the first 2, maybe 3 episodes, but then it got kind of slow until we got to Colony House and that whole situation. So I'll say this, I'm never gonna spoil nothing for y'all like that at all, but I will tell you this: if you are one of those people that are frustrated with the pacing, if you're frustrated with like you want more answers and all that, I'm not saying you about to get a whole bunch of answers, but what I am gonna tell you is pay attention for episode 6. Episode 6 ain't here to play with y'all. That right there is going to get you up. It's going to get you interested right back in there. So again, episode 5, I think is really going to be more character driven, kind of similar to this, but a little bit different. But, yeah, wait for episode 6. Anyway, y'all let me know on a scale from 1 to 10, what did you think about this episode? Please let me know your thoughts and comments and any theories and anything I might have missed in the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe and make sure you hit that bell for notifications. I do have some interviews with some of the cast that you don't want to miss. Make sure you check those out. And coming up soon, I will have more theory videos about From as we get a little bit closer to the end of the season. So you don't want to miss out on any of that. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for taking the time, and I will see you guys next week. If you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out the next time I drop a video. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.